Welcome, my brothers and my sisters, to the newly named Bro Go Zone podcast. I am your host, Zach, with my co host, my brother, my best friend, Mr. Dominic and I. My brother, how are you?
But Isaac, it's been tough, man. It's been crazy since our last podcast. Otherwise, I'm good, man. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad that I'm still here with you. I'm glad that the Lord has blessed me with a couple of more days,
Mm,
and He still has a plan for me, man.
that's
So
good.
I
That's good.
appreciate your invitation, and I appreciate that I can be here this evening, man.
Yeah, man, we got the ambiance there in the background. We got the fire going, man. We got some red wine. We're sipping some red wine. We're not rich, but we blessed. We blessed.
It's not Coke.
Mm-mm, definitely not.
That is not Coke.
My brother. So this is basically season 2
Yeah.
of the podcast, and this is our first episode. I must humbly apologize for the noise in the background, but that's how we like it. You gotta have the kids playing there in the back, so it's all good.
Those are goals achieved.
Yes, definitely, most definitely. I achieved two of my goals. One actually came before the other one, but we won't get into that. We won't get into that. Listen, man. Let me get into the first question, man. How are you?
Oh man, in terms of
How are you doing? How is your week been? How is your month been? How is your year been? The beginning of your year so far?
I must say I've been very blessed. Um, Under the circumstances of me thinking about what more I would have loved to have had, but I've been blessed, man. I'm good. I'm not 100% good because I'm not really um, everything that I would love to be,
Mm,
you know. But otherwise, besides that, I cannot complain.
mm,
I got a loving family, got loving friends, got you. Um, I met I met somebody special,
mm.
you know, bra.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
but
I
but
appreciate it.
things I think things are taking a kind of a turn in my life for the better. Although I would say I can't see the better just yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the basis for this episode is life goals. So if I have to kick it off right now, just by myself, thinking of myself, then I've achieved some of my goals. I'm doing one of my goals right now, which is doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Um, it sort of happened just on the spur of the moment, but it's been amazing. It's been a journey so far. And I got married, which
Yeah.
is a goal that I've achieved for
Yeah.
myself. Two kids, like I said, the one was supposed to be come before the other, but it just
It
worked.
switched around.
It switched around, but now I've got both of them, man. So
Yeah.
I'm happy, and my daughter was born on Father's Day, which was
Big one.
a massive blessing and,
Yeah.
and an achievement. A wet COVID rainy Father's Day,
Yeah.
but she was all healthy. She was, yeah. Look at her now, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
man, she's good, man. She's good. So I'm gonna ask you this, my brother. Define for me life goals, or a life goal in your own words.
Oh, okay. In my own words, my understanding of life goals
Cutting
is
deep there.
is yeah, definitely just going straight into it. Is when you actually put out something um, for yourself to achieve. It can be the way I see it. It can be anything from a success in education,
Mm.
but it can go to something as small as actually getting a driver's license.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, So for me, it's just something that you feel passionate about, and you feel that this is actually what you want to achieve. This is where you want to be in life, and that's how I see life goals to be.
Mm.
Um,
So are you at that point in your life where you think you've achieved those small goals? Stop and Zach. This is deep.
yeah, no. Honestly speaking, no. Um, some people would say otherwise to my answer about me, but I would say no, man. There are certain things in my life that I really wanted to achieve, and I feel that I didn't give myself enough time, or I didn't push myself to that extent to actually achieving um, those particular life goals.
Mm.
Um, I'm not unhappy with my life, but I think it's almost like New Year's resolutions where you make you make a promise to yourself, and you don't fulfill it.
Mm.
And this is cause of obviously circumstances, and also the drive and the motivation and the feeling at that point of time when you were making that wish, um, or setting that goal. But I also think my issue, generally speaking, is discipline. um, I find myself I find myself not disciplined enough to be able to stick to
Mm.
constant to focusing on achieving that particular goal,
Yeah.
and find myself swerving away to the next best thing kind of a situation, or the next easier goal, or the next life goal that I'll maybe put out myself to. Um, yeah, I wouldn't say there's not things I haven't achieved.
Mm.
But when I just look at, if we had to look at the broad term of what life goals are actually seen as,
Mm.
because I can tell you, for example, yesterday I woke up and I told myself, you know what, I'm just going to clear my mind from thinking about money, first of all,
Mm.
and I'm going to set realistic goals within the yard for me to do, so chores.
Mm.
And I set a list out. This is what I'm going to start with, and this is what I'm going to end with.
Mm.
And whatever came in between, it's either I managed to fit it within my schedule, or I just cut it out and say it's not part of my goals, and which I managed to actually achieve a day completing every single task.
Mm.
You see,
Mm.
so but those are not tasks on a, on a day scale. You know
Yes,
what I
on
mean?
a daily
On
basis.
a daily basis, which you wouldn't say is a life goal, but it's still an achievement in a sense.
Yes, it
If you
is.
look at it, yeah.
Mm.
There is one particular life goal that I am proud of. It's currently what I'm doing, and which is facilitating. And
I thought you were gonna say me.
man, I took care of you a long time ago.
I take care of myself.
so, so yeah, the fact that I had all the students pass last year for me was a huge achievement. I didn't see it
That's
as
nice.
a life goal though.
Mm.
I just saw it as an achievement that I was proud of, to say that I actually was able to achieve that. Yeah.
Mm. So look, as a man in this world, navigating this space, which for us is very very difficult, and not a lot of people get that or understand it. Is there is there a limit to a life goal? Is there like a 6 month period that you just within that 6 months you just living your best life, or does it extend past a certain period? Is there like a cut-off time for a life goal, in your opinion?
I would say that there's no limit, and there can also be one. What I've heard,
Or think about it like this. Take a musician for example,
Mm,
um, grinding away, performing at small events, and eventually getting signed up by
record label.
a record label.
Yeah,
Right now, you get to that point where your first album is out, so you've achieved that goal for yourself, right?
yeah,
And now it's all about sustaining it. So which means song after song
for
after
sure,
song,
for sure, for sure.
and
Yeah,
it's not just you as the person being able to continue writing songs. It's the expectation of your fans, your fan
yeah,
base. They're expecting,
yeah.
they want to continually see you come to Joburg or
Yeah.
to Brussels or to the Netherlands or wherever you find yourself, depending on
Mm-hmm.
your overall status, whether you're international or local, you know what I mean? They're
Mm-hmm.
constantly looking for that. So
Mm.
think about it like that.
Yeah, you actually now really opened my mind to it. I think I'd still say there is a limit, and there's also no limit. For example, first of all, in terms of an artist, you wanna achieve the goal of that your music should be heard,
Mm.
you know. And then in terms of maybe achieving that goal, then other goals start coming in, or achievements start coming in, where you wanna now maintain
Mm.
the ear
Yes,
that
yes,
is
yes.
listening to it, you know. And I mean, if I had to look at you, and I think to myself, your life goal might have been, um, I want to have a kid, you know, with my wife, you know,
Mm.
and you achieved that, but does it end there?
No.
Obviously now it continues, and now you got to take care of that kid, right?
Yeah,
You know,
you
you
have to
got to maintain,
put in the effort
put in the
and
effort, and then the relationship as well between your wife still needs to be maintained at the same time, you know.
mm.
So it adds on. So you got that limit of, or I would say you got that goal that you can achieve. But once you achieve a goal, there's always something else that pushes through, you know, and wants you to continue. And I like the fact that you were talking about 6 months and a year and so forth, because those are kind of realistic time frames to actually check
Mm.
what your progress is like.
Yeah.
You know, are you going there still, or have you reached there? Is it working? Kind of a situation. And for me, it's like I was talking about the achievement of actually facilitating and actually doing something that I've always wanted to do, and teach computers, you know, and teach computer sciences.
Mm.
And um, I've reached that goal to be able to teach, but now I also got to make sure that I interpret or teach in such a way that it is also understood,
Mm.
you know, so that they can achieve. Because I can have that passion to want to educate,
Yeah.
but that learner wants to have that qualification at the end of the day. You
Mm.
know what I mean? So I
So they
suppose,
can achieve their goal.
so they can achieve their goals. So I suppose, yes,
It's
there
a
is a
ripple
limit,
effect, yeah.
but it's a ripple. Yes, it's
Mm.
definitely a ripple effect. That's exactly what it is, my brother.
Is there a limit to achieving your goal, life goal? Can you put a limit on it? Let's put it like that.
Now that I think about it, I think every person should put a limit to it.
Mm.
For example, I'm thinking about it in terms of we actually saying that ripple effect. If you think about a ripple effect, the limit for that stone, after bouncing maybe a couple of times on water, is when it starts sinking.
Mm.
But the ripples, or that waves, they still continue.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's almost like planting a seed.
Mm.
You know, you and your wife can make 12 kids, but you gotta. I'm just putting it out there. Just bless them, Lord. But you gotta. that, and you gotta put a limit to it, you know, so that Keaton can take over and bring you 24. You know what I mean? It's gotta
12
carry.
kids.
Let's gotta carry on.
No, thank you, man. No, thank you. Look, two is enough at this
Two is
present
enough.
moment in time.
What's wrong with 12 kids?
No, I don't think I have the stamina. You know, two is
There's
fine
only,
for me.
there's only one way to find out.
Two is fine for me. Two is fine with me. Like, look, I think about it as let's say applying for a job. Like you know you want to apply for a certain job and you've got all your paperwork in order, you've got your qualifications, but as soon as you walk into that interview, you know, the people have already, the management that is there, they've already made up their minds, you
Yeah,
know, that you are a possible or probable or you just not, you know, they wanna hear what you have to say,
for
right?
sure.
In order for them to make that decision. So you might have everything on paper, but are you that relatable? You know, not just to them but to the company. Can you fit in? So let's say hypothetically you do get this job that you apply for, right? What I know a lot of guys have been told they're overqualified.
Yeah,
You know, so once you've achieved your goal, once you are in the zone or the environment that you set out to be in, and you set out to say, you know, I'm now a facilitator, but I want to be like
yeah,
a lecturer, I want to be at the top level,
yeah.
and then you get told you overqualified. So do you think that nullifies your resistance to achieving your goal? Because you want to get to the top level, but now you get told that you've got too much going for you. You know,
Yeah.
your goal is within reach,
Before
but you're getting pushed back.
before I answer that, can I ask you that question? Have you been in a situation where you were seen as overqualified?
Never. I
Okay.
just made it.
It's just my okay.
I just made it.
I think I can't answer that because I've also never been in that situation where I was overqualified, you know. And uh, I think for anybody overqualified, you should never feel that this is the end. There's a movie I watched once. Can't remember what the movie was, but this was a veteran, military veteran, and was retired, and he did some administration work in the actual.
Sorry, I'm just signaling quickly. the studio guys in the background, they just need to just tone it down a bit. You know what I'm saying? So
So
that's how we do, man. That's how we
so
do.
so yeah, and this military veteran was big. He was overqualified in everything that
Mm-mm.
he applied for, and he was too old as well to get him back into the actual industry. He was over 60, 65 years old or something like that. And then um, there was this particular position that came out, and his wife told him apply, but he kept on saying, no, every time I apply for these jobs, I get declined. You know, I'm too old, I'm overqualified, or whatever the excuses they have. You know, and then he got fired from his current job that he had. It was just a normal general worker in a factory, and then he had no choice but to just take a chance and apply, and he actually got the job.
Mm.
But how he got the job was more of a perspective of what the company wanted at the
Mm.
time. However, going back to your question, it also still means that even if you are overqualified or overage, it doesn't mean that you need to stop
Mm.
right there because you don't know who's looking for you,
Yes.
you know, especially when you're job hunting. You know, it's a different story when you are opening a business, but now we're speaking about overqualification and so forth. Um, I think as well that knowledge is power and that there's no such thing as overqualified.
Mm.
The problem is that we are enforced to live in a system whereby you need to have this in life.
Yeah.
You need to have a job. You need to have some money in your bank with some credit. You need to then go for a house and a car. After that, you need to get married and have kids. And then you need to be a grandmother, a grandfather, and grandchildren. You know what I mean? Which kind of puts a formality towards what life is supposed to be like. But in reality, you wake up.
You know, most of us didn't follow that recipe. We didn't follow that recipe, man. We opened the book, and mom and daddy said, "Hey, yeah,
That's why we drink
this is how you,
wine on
this is how you
podcasts.
bake the biscuit, you know." Mm-mm.
That's why we drink wine on podcasts.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it is. I think it is all a mind game. At the end of the day, what do you want to achieve? For example, I have a very good friend. No, he's actually 72 years old, 75. Yeah, I don't think it is.
A couple of years to go.
And this old man, Uncle V, he recently got a job. Yeah, and he's working. He's working full time in an old age home in the UK, but he's working a full time job. And luckily, in the UK, they don't have an age limit. You see, so you work until you feel you cannot work no more. Okay, and he's very fit. He's very fit. So I can only imagine to what age. I mean, he's 72, 75, something like that, and he's still working right now. So obviously, he's still going to be working for quite some time. But I think as well, the problem that we have here in South Africa is that we get limited. Once you're 65, apparently you cannot push no more. And, yeah, and I've seen a lot of people kick the bucket after the age of 65 and they couldn't work no more. And they just last for maybe another 5, maximum 10 years, and then they're out there.
Yeah, because
6 feet under.
and I've heard this so many times, and I posted on my WhatsApp status as well. I've heard Justin Baldoni say it so many times. As a man, your worth is tied to your productivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you are only man enough or good enough if you can produce the goods. So what happens if you can't do it
It's
anymore?
crazy. I was watching a very funny. You need to see this,
And
but
you lose your
comedy.
worth, you lose confidence in yourself.
I was watching a stand-up comedy yesterday, and this guy, he's freak funny. You will love him. And he's like, he respects women more after he had a particular dream. He woke up. In fact, he was like, he went to bed high. He woke up. He was so high that he woke up high, and he respected women more after he thought of something. And his thoughts were like, what if, in women's minds, it is, I have only 200 eggs. And every time I have sex, but I don't allow those ovaries to. I get rid of one egg. You get what I'm saying? Yes, he put it in a more.
Yes.
That's why it sounds funny. Because, but what if that is what life is about? That you only have a time period to live. You only have a certain amount of things to do. For example, your sperm count might be 20 now, and then it's clear.
I'm fine.
I'm okay.
I hope.
But you get it. You get it.
Yes,
it's not about your productivity no more. You know what I mean? But it can also be about your productivity at the same time. And those are the factors that we need to kind of take in consideration. That I don't think men should ever limit themselves because life is already limited. You know, so achieve what you can now in all factors. I'm not saying go drink more because you love drinking, but those like those life goals. If there's something that you want to achieve, just try and achieve it.
Next one, I think this one is a bit deep. So I'm gonna read it right. I'm gonna read
Sure.
it. So realistically, my brother, right, can you see yourself achieving a certain goal, whatever it is, and this is specifically for you, depending on your circumstances? Can you see yourself achieving a certain goal, depending on your circumstances?
Realistically.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, yes.
Well, let's say you want to be
For example,
a carpenter, right? You have to go to school to do certain things,
for sure.
right? You have to go to college to do certain things if you want to be considered, quote unquote,
Carpenter.
that expert,
Yeah,
the expert carpenter or architect. That's not just. I do believe that some people have that natural gift,
yeah,
you know, but in the world that we live in now, you still need to achieve certain things and apply, give your resume into to whatever company, and they have to accept or reject you.
yeah,
So your the goal that you set out for yourself, no matter your whatever your circumstance, it also depends on other people as well,
yeah,
because they can define if you achieve it or not,
yeah.
and if they say no, are you gonna stop them? You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Very, very focused. I am. I get what you're saying. I think, I think at the end of the day, it all depends on you. If you look at how the world has shifted, the world used to be that we need to work for somebody.
Mm,
Now the world is like you need to work for yourself.
yes.
Regardless you're working for somebody, have the mindset that you are working for yourself. You know what I mean? And I think people are always going to get you down,
Mm,
regardless of the your kids, your wife, your parents, your colleagues, name them,
mm,
girlfriend, boyfriend. I think they'll always get you down. The most important thing is how do you get up again? It's like I think we spoke about this once. The one priest that we have keeps on talking to married couples about marriage is not about love, but it's about forgiveness.
mm,
And if you can get past that point of understanding that you can't really stand on people's support, you can't really stand on people's motivation or people's words or perspectives and so forth, but use that to be able to encourage you and to be able to lift you up and to be able to get you to achieve the goals that you need, you know, and just move on with that.
mm,
Then realistically you will then be able to achieve whatever goal that you want to achieve, you know.
mm,
um uh yeah, man, it's like this podcast was not a thing of if I was around you would start it, or if that person was around you would start it, or if you just had a mic you would start it. I mean, you just started this podcast with your phone. We're just having conversations with a phone, you know.
yeah.
And I was in Joburg. It was during COVID, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
during
during
COVID
COVID.
we had
Yeah,
WhatsApp video
yeah, you know what I
calls.
mean.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
we couldn't see each other.
Yeah, but the most important thing, you made the most of your circumstances. You still made it happen, regardless the complications and the situations. In fact, COVID was there as a motivation for you to actually do this thing
Hmm.
and actually make sure that hey, everybody, hey, let's do this. Hey, is everybody online? Let's
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about. Realistically, if you think about achieving any particular goal in life, um, take away if there was nothing, you know, if there was no air, would you still try and breathe?
I'd be too scared to. It's like I know there's
But
no
there's
air,
no
but
air. What you gonna do about it in any case? You get what I'm saying? You still gonna want to try.
you would drink. I'm sure there's some oxygen in here.
But yeah, so I think realistically, definitely there are goals in my life. For example, I wanna still become an assessor. I still wanna become a moderator, and I still wanna open my own actual
Business.
center.
Mm.
You know, that I wouldn't say is my business, but the business for those that actually want to teach, those that actually want to still learn, and so forth.
Mm.
It's like I woke up this morning. I told myself that, you know what, I actually feel very relaxed when I work for the church. As crazy as it sounds,
It's a different environment.
do you know what I mean? I still get
And
paid.
in church you can achieve
I really don't. You can
a
choose so
lot
much. You can choose so much, and
because you're not. I'm sure
pressurized.
there's limits, but
There are limits.
you're not
Not
as
really pressure.
limited or as pressured
Yeah,
as in the real world.
exactly,
You know.
exactly.
Mm.
And just for those listening on this podcast, working for church doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a priest or a pastor or a choir member or somebody serving or something like that. For instance, I'm working for the church, but as a facilitator, facilitating an accredited IT course,
Mm.
you know, and I'm putting it out there because I don't want people to think that, you know what, I can't go work for the church because
Yeah.
I'm working for the Lord. The Lord don't pay. Yeah.
He pays you.
Play.
You wake up every morning.
Wake up
He pays
every.
you. He pays you.
You know what I mean? So I think that in fact, if I must say it now that I'm realizing it, that's my biggest achievement, being able to actually work where I feel at peace and relaxed and for the church, man.
Mm. Yeah, man. So, last question. Last question. Um, how do you hold on to your goal once you've achieved it? Now I got your head spinning. And you know how I came up with these questions? Just like from the heart. I didn't Google it or anything. I just like
Yeah, I think that's important, man.
because
I think there's too
I
much
feel
structure in everything in life,
if I have to ask you something, I need to relate to it as well.
for sure, for sure. I think also there's too much structure in life.
Mm.
So if you let something just free flow from the heart is important.
Yeah.
How do you hold on to a goal? How would I hold on to the goal? I must say, honestly speaking, I never thought of it. The only thing I can say is that recently I've been thinking of how do I want to retire.
Mm.
And holding on to what I currently have is how I want to include in my retirement. If that makes sense. For example, I'm a facilitator and I'd like to still be able to facilitate or pass on this knowledge of facilitating
Yeah.
to somebody else to continue that journey, and that's how I want to retire. I don't have. I think the only reason why I don't know how to hold on to it is because I've never seen myself as holding on to something that is not tangible.
Mm.
Or
You have to be realistic as well.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like you can hold on to your relationship, you can hold on to your kids, but you can't hold on to your job. You can't hold on to your car.
Mm.
You know,
Nothing in life is
yeah.
ever
In
that
fact,
secure.
God would actually say to you that you can't hold on to your wife or your kids.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Depending on the situation.
If we look at the story of Jacob,
Mm.
for example, you know, and he had to take his son up and like, hey, son, it's time. And son is like, hey, dad,
It sounds like a
okay, the
horror
Lord
movie voice.
wants me.
It sounds like a horror
The
movie
Lord
voice.
wants me now, take me. So yeah, for me, I've never thought of that, how to hold on to a goal. But I've thought of how I'd want to retire, how I'd want to relax.
Yeah.
know.
Look, if I take this podcast that I'm doing, how many episodes am I in now? Um, 5, 6 episodes in, and I wanna hold on to this for as long as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanna maintain it. I wanna keep it as I wanna maintain it. I wanna keep it as for as long as possible. So I need to constantly come up with different ideas. Different questions
Yeah.
depending on the topic. I need to come up with different questions. I've got another two people I wanna have on the podcast. So I'm looking at maybe getting a priest, getting his perspective.
That would be
But
cool.
that's a spiritual. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's a spiritual. That's a spiritual check.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That would be nice. I think
that's my goal. So I wanna hold on to this podcast for as long as I possibly can. And at the end of the day, when I leave this world, this is gonna be permanent.
Yeah.
So if you go and look for the Bro Goes Zone podcast, it sounds so
Sure.
long. If you go look for it, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find you.
Yeah.
Our voices are still gonna be there. This video is gonna be
Yeah.
there. The recordings are gonna be there. So
Forever young.
it's gonna be there. So
Forever
then I've
young.
left my mark.
Exactly. I like
But
that.
just because I've achieved it
I
doesn't
like
mean
that.
I have to stop.
I like that. I like that. Yeah,
know what
I
I
like that. I like that.
So I'm
I don't.
living my dream. I'm living my goal.
How are you gonna hold on to it?
I'm not gonna stop.
Alright, cool, man.
That's why it's nice.
Wine is good, eh?
The wine is good.
Stop drinking.
Is there any last thought that you wanna offer? Specifically the brothers. Is there any one last thought that you wanna offer them in terms of either holding on to a certain goal or trying to reach a certain goal? Thinking of maybe whatever circumstances they are currently in or trying to get out of. How do you motivate them now to achieve what they want to achieve? Put yourself in their shoes, whatever the situation.
I think my feet are sinking in their shoes. My feet are small. I think what I can say for the young men out there, and even for the older men out there, we as men are very pressurized into achieving, and if you don't achieve as a man, apparently you're not seen as one. And I want to say
Not good enough.
yeah, you're not good enough. I want to say that is not the perspective of life. That is not how life is meant to be. And I'm not saying that you can just sit on the couch and be a potato and rot, but there's something else that you are good at, and there's something else that you can really focus on, and that is an achievement on its own as you being a man. Would it be that you actually love baking, or you love gardening, or the achievement is as obscure as you maybe being good at being at the reception desk? What I'm trying to say, is that we are seen as men that we should have masculine achievements. We should have achievements that brings in and puts down on the table. Instead of 2 glasses, it needs to be 7 glasses because there might be guests, kind of a situation. But the fact that you're actually putting something down on that table is actually good enough.
Yeah.
And don't ever think that your little that you bring or your much that you bring is not enough or is not what is required. at that point of time, it is what needs to be, what needs to actually be on that table,
Mm.
you know. And what I can say is that if you are able to go out and, if in fact, let me put it this way, if you are able to dream, that
Mm.
means you can achieve it.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to do is wake up and keep on walking towards it.
Yeah, you have to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to do it. Are you gonna finish that, or can I?
Oh, that's my drink, man. Oh, my.
That was a goal of mine to finish his drink, but he's obviously achieved it. That's a good one. My brother, I want to say thank you very much, man. This has been very eye-opening for me as well.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm living my dream. I'm living my goal. Doing my podcast with my best friend. And there's more to come on season 2. There's going to be a couple of surprises as well. Um, behind the camera. But I won't be available that time. So it's just going to be him. There's going to be a podcast takeover between Mr. Nkosi here on my left, and then someone special as well. So we will enlighten you as we progress into that. So, but yeah, thank you, my brothers and sisters, and to the men out there. I know you are struggling. We are all struggling. We're all going through our own personal challenges. But if there is a goal that you have set out for yourself, please, my brother, don't give up.
Yeah.
Just go out there and achieve it. No matter how many small steps you take to it. Once you get to that big step, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
12 kids, right?
2. I love you, my brother.
Thank you very much for the podcast, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, that was
nice
nice.
chatting
That was
to you,
nice. That
man.
was nice, guys.
Thank
Stay
you for the
safe. Stay
invitation.
strong. I love you. Okay.